You probably have a Nestlé product in your home right now. A cup of coffee, a bottle of water, a chocolate bar, baby formula. Every single day, billions of people consume products made by one of the largest food companies in human history. But behind this global empire lies a story that has sparked decades of controversy. Over the years, Nestlé has been accused of unethical marketing, environmental damage, labor abuses within parts of its supply chain, and putting profits ahead of people. The company has denied many allegations, defended its practices, and says it has invested billions into sustainability and responsible sourcing. So how did a company trusted by millions become one of the most criticized corporations on Earth? This is the story of Nestlé. Long before Nestlé became a global giant, it started with a simple goal: saving the lives of infants. In 1867, a German-born pharmacist named Henri Nestlé was living in Vevey, Switzerland. At the time, infant mortality was a serious problem across Europe. Many babies were unable to breastfeed, and safe alternatives simply didn't exist. Henri spent months experimenting with different ingredients until he created a powdered infant cereal made from wheat flour, cow's milk, and sugar. The product quickly gained attention after reportedly helping save the life of a premature baby who could not tolerate breast milk. Word spread rapidly. Doctors began recommending the product. Parents desperately searched for it. And what started as one man's invention soon became an international business. As the decades passed, Nestlé expanded far beyond infant nutrition. The company merged with other food manufacturers, entered new international markets, and steadily built one of the largest food businesses in history. By the 20th century, Nestlé was producing everything from condensed milk and coffee to chocolate, cereals, frozen meals, bottled water, and pet food. Today, the company owns or licenses hundreds of brands sold in nearly every country around the world. Whether you recognize the Nestlé name or not, there's a good chance you've purchased one of its products. Its influence stretches across supermarkets, restaurants, hospitals, schools, and homes. Few companies have become as deeply woven into everyday life. But as Nestlé grew larger, its decisions began affecting millions of people around the world. And with that influence came increasing scrutiny. Soon, the company would face one of the biggest controversies in corporate history: the infant formula controversy. By the 1970s, Nestlé had become one of the most recognizable food companies in the world. Its products were sold across Europe, North America, Asia, Africa, and Latin America. The company had built a reputation for innovation and quality. But as its global reach expanded, so did the scrutiny. One product, in particular, would place Nestlé at the center of an international controversy that would shape its reputation for decades. During the 1960s and 1970s, Nestlé and other infant formula manufacturers expanded their marketing in developing countries. Their products were promoted as a modern, scientific alternative to breastfeeding. Critics argued that some of these marketing practices encouraged mothers to switch away from breastfeeding, even in places where clean drinking water and reliable sanitation were limited. Health experts warned that if powdered formula was mixed with contaminated water or diluted to make it last longer, it could increase the risk of malnutrition and serious illness in infants. These concerns sparked widespread public debate. Consumer groups, health organizations, churches, and activists accused Nestlé of promoting infant formula in ways they believed were irresponsible. The controversy grew quickly. In 1977, a boycott of Nestlé products began in the United States. The movement soon spread to other countries. Protesters called for stricter rules on how infant formula was marketed, especially in lower-income nations. The campaign received international attention and became one of the largest consumer boycotts of a multinational corporation. News outlets around the world covered the growing criticism. For many people, This was the first time Nestlé's name became associated, not with chocolate or coffee, but with corporate ethics. The controversy eventually led to global action. In 1981, the World Health Assembly adopted the International Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes. The code established recommendations for how infant formula should be marketed, with the goal of protecting breastfeeding while ensuring formula remained available when medically necessary. Nestlé has stated that it supports the code and says it has implemented policies intended to comply with its requirements. However, over the years, some advocacy groups have continued to accuse the company of violating parts of the code in certain countries. Nestlé has disputed many of those allegations, saying it investigates complaints and works to improve compliance. The debate has continued for decades, illustrating how complex and contentious the issue remains. The infant formula controversy changed how millions of people viewed Nestlé, but it wouldn't be the last time the company found itself at the center of global criticism. As Nestlé expanded into bottled water, another debate began to emerge. A debate over one of the world's most essential resources: water. Water is one of the few things every person on Earth needs to survive. It is essential to life. But for Nestlé, it also became one of its biggest businesses. Over the years, the company built one of the world's largest bottled water divisions, selling billions of bottles annually under multiple brands. To supporters, Nestlé was simply providing a product people willingly purchased. To critics, the company had turned a basic human necessity into a profitable commodity. The debate was only beginning. Across several countries, Nestlé obtained permits to extract groundwater for its bottled water business. While these operations were legal and regulated, some local residents and environmental groups argued that large-scale extraction placed pressure on local water resources, especially during periods of drought. Communities in places such as parts of the United States and Canada protested water extraction projects, claiming they threatened local ecosystems and water availability. Nestlé has repeatedly stated that its operations comply with government regulations and that it monitors water use carefully to promote long-term sustainability. The company has also said that it works with local authorities and invests in water stewardship initiatives. Still, the controversy became one of the defining debates surrounding the company's public image. One of the most controversial moments came from comments made years ago by a former Nestlé chairman, Peter Brabeck-Letmathe. A short video clip spread rapidly across the internet. Many viewers believed he was saying that ordinary people should not have access to water as a human right. The clip was shared millions of times and became one of the most common criticisms directed at Nestlé. However, the full interview paints a more nuanced picture. Brabeck later said his comments were misunderstood. He explained that he believed everyone should have access to the water needed for drinking, sanitation, and basic survival. His argument focused instead on whether large-scale commercial uses of water, such as agriculture, industry, or luxury consumption, should carry an economic value to encourage responsible use. Even so, the short clip continued circulating online, and for many people it became symbolic of the growing distrust toward the company. By now, Nestlé had become one of the most criticized corporations in the world. But another issue was attracting even greater international attention. It wasn't about bottled water. It wasn't about baby formula. It was about chocolate, and the children who helped produce it. Chocolate is one of the world's favorite treats. Every year, billions of chocolate bars are sold across the globe. Behind many of them lies cocoa, a crop grown primarily in West Africa. Countries such as Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana produce more than half of the world's cocoa supply. Millions of farmers depend on cocoa for their livelihoods. But for decades, reports have raised serious concerns about working conditions within parts of the cocoa supply chain. And because Nestlé is one of the world's largest chocolate manufacturers, it became part of that conversation. Beginning in the early 2000s, journalists, researchers, and human rights organizations published investigations describing child labor within parts of the cocoa industry in West Africa. Some reports documented children performing dangerous agricultural work, including carrying heavy loads, using sharp tools, and working long hours. These reports did not claim that Nestlé directly employed these children. Instead, they highlighted the complexity of global supply chains, where cocoa is purchased through networks of farms, cooperatives, and suppliers. The investigations raised an uncomfortable question. How much responsibility should multinational companies bear for conditions that exist deep within their supply chains? As public attention grew, chocolate companies faced increasing pressure to improve transparency and strengthen oversight. Nestlé, along with other major manufacturers, announced programs aimed at identifying child labor, improving farmer incomes, and increasing traceability throughout its cocoa supply chain. The company has stated that eliminating child labor requires cooperation between businesses, governments, local communities, and nonprofit organizations. Despite these efforts, Nestlé has acknowledged that child labor remains a serious challenge in parts of the cocoa sector and that the problem has not been completely solved. Critics argue that progress has been too slow. Supporters point to the scale and complexity of the issue, saying meaningful change takes time. The controversy surrounding cocoa extended far beyond one company. It raised difficult questions about the true cost of inexpensive products. When consumers buy a chocolate bar for just a few dollars, who grows the cocoa? How much are farmers actually paid? And who is responsible when problems occur thousands of miles away? These questions continue to shape discussions about corporate responsibility around the world. While Nestlé worked to respond to criticism surrounding its supply chains, another issue was becoming impossible to ignore: plastic. Millions of packages, billions of bottles, and growing concerns about the environmental footprint of one of the world's largest food companies. Walk through almost any supermarket in the world, and you'll find Nestlé products on nearly every aisle. Coffee, chocolate, bottled water, pet food, breakfast cereal. With such an enormous global presence comes another challenge: packaging. Environmental organizations have repeatedly identified Nestlé among the world's largest producers of plastic packaging. Critics argue that single-use plastics contribute to pollution in rivers, oceans, and ecosystems around the globe. Images of plastic waste washing onto beaches became powerful symbols of a growing environmental crisis. For many people, companies the size of Nestlé were expected to lead the solution, not simply become part of the problem. Nestlé says it recognizes the seriousness of plastic pollution. The company has announced investments worth billions of dollars to redesign packaging, increase the use of recycled materials, reduce virgin plastic, and improve recycling systems. It has also introduced refill programs and alternative packaging in some markets. Supporters argue that meaningful progress is being made. Critics respond that the pace of change remains too slow given the scale of global plastic waste. The debate continues. As Nestlé's public image became more controversial, social media gave rise to a different kind of discussion. Thousands of videos, blogs, and online posts began claiming that the company was involved in secret global agendas. Some claimed Nestlé controlled governments. Others alleged it deliberately created water shortages to increase profits. Some even suggested the company manipulated world food supplies behind the scenes. These stories spread rapidly online. But despite their popularity, there is no credible evidence supporting these claims. Many combine real controversies with speculation, rumors, or misinformation, making it difficult for viewers to separate fact from fiction. That distinction matters. The documented controversies surrounding Nestlé are significant on their own. There is no need to rely on unsupported conspiracy theories to understand why the company has faced decades of criticism. Today, Nestlé operates in almost every corner of the world, Its products reach billions of consumers every year. With that scale comes extraordinary influence, but it also brings extraordinary scrutiny. Every decision the company makes is watched closely by journalists, regulators, investors, environmental groups, and consumers. Few corporations face the same level of public attention, and perhaps no food company has generated as much debate. After more than 150 years, one question remains. Can a company this large ever satisfy everyone? Or does becoming one of the world's biggest corporations guarantee that every decision will be questioned? For over 150 years, Nestlé has helped shape the way the world eats. From infant nutrition and coffee to chocolate, bottled water, and pet food, its products have become part of everyday life for billions of people. Few companies have reached this level of influence. But with influence comes responsibility, and with responsibility comes scrutiny. Throughout its history, Nestlé has been praised for innovation and criticized for decisions that sparked global debate. Some of those criticisms led to meaningful changes in company policies and industry standards. Others remain the subject of ongoing disagreement between the company, activists, researchers, and consumers. The story of Nestlé is not simply one of success, nor is it a story of pure failure. It is a story of a corporation operating on a scale few businesses have ever achieved. When a company serves billions of people, every decision has consequences. A change in sourcing affects farmers across continents. A new product reaches millions of households overnight. A single corporate statement can become international news within hours. That is the reality of being one of the world's largest companies. So, how should companies be judged? By the products they create? By the profits they earn? By the mistakes they make? Or by how they respond when those mistakes are exposed? For some people, Nestlé represents innovation, scientific progress, and a company that feeds millions every day. For others, it represents the challenges of corporate power, globalization, and accountability. The answer depends on who you ask. Perhaps the most important lesson isn't about Nestlé alone. It's about the modern world. Every time we walk into a supermarket, we make choices without knowing the full story behind the products on the shelves. Where they came from, who produced them, what impact they had on people, and on the planet. Behind every global brand is a history that extends far beyond advertising. Some chapters inspire, others raise difficult questions. Understanding both sides allows us to make more informed decisions as consumers. Nestlé remains one of the most successful companies ever built. Its products are likely to remain part of everyday life for generations to come. Whether history remembers the company primarily for its innovations or for its controversies is a story that is still being written, and perhaps the final chapter hasn't happened yet.